Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we have a special guest, Mary, and we are thinking about hobbies. So, Mary, why don't you go ahead and fully introduce yourself?
Well, hello, Mitzi, and your wonderful audience. What a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Mary Kay Savarese. I am an award-winning author, best-selling, and speaker. And I am known as an author who loves to write with quirky titles. And I'd be more than happy to get into that. But you had mentioned hobbies. And what I wanted to present regarding hobby as an author, I did begin writing as a hobby, and it had saved me through a difficult point in my life. And that's why I wanted to present hobbies as a wonderful outlet for people to help them through anxieties, depression, and so on.
Oh, that's very true because it's funny because I started writing because I needed a hobby that didn't have me spend so much money and didn't have me go outside so much and sweats and just be exposed to so many people sometimes. And I had so much in my mind that I felt like writing it all down and putting a twist to everything was a great way to really help ease my mind. So I could only imagine it probably did the same for you, where it gets to a tranquil zone type of way. And it's so lovely. And I think it is important. And I do think people need to be able to do that. And I guess besides you were saying on your little sheet that you gave me how after all your children went away that you were kind of, alone, and that's when you kind of had to figure it out. But what are other ways that people can tap into hobbies?
Well, one of the things that I did want to address is many women, after we raise our children, we become empty nesters. Sometimes it's a wonderful thing, and for others, it really poses an issue. And what I'm going to say sounds mean, but this is really what happened to me. I had to come to terms with the reality that my family unit was dead. And what I mean by that is that the babies that I raised, the toddlers I chased after, the teenagers I stayed up all night, they were gone. Not my children, but that part of my life. And at that point, I was so immersed with the creative part of writing that it helped me through. And I love to speak to women and men. If you find yourself dealing with this anxiety, now the anxiety had become so severe for me, it was physical. My limbs were getting numb, and I did have a medical test, and it all came back to it being an internal struggle that I had to figure out and deal with. And I'm so happy to share with your audience that I did go into therapy. We as wives, mothers, we work in the home, outside of the home. We just say to ourselves, oh, I can handle all of this. And when we need help, we don't want to ask for it because we're embarrassed. So I'm just happy to say I did. I was able to get therapy, and I was able to go on some low dose meds that helped me through it until I felt strong enough to deal with the issue. But you had mentioned hobbies. My hobby was I had wanted to become a traditionally published author. So at that time, yes, it was a hobby. And I'm an overnight success, a 10-year overnight success. It took a long time for a company to come to me and say, yep, we're interested. We'd love to publish your book. So one of the things, as I said, that helped me was my writing, which is a hobby. But there are so many other wonderful hobbies that are available to us, especially today. And what happens is once our minds come off of us and we're able to dwell on the task before us, what happens? Your whole body and mind just calm down, and you're able to deal with things. And it made me say, hey, if this works, this can work as well.
Oh, that's very true. And I guess to get to your books, I was reading on your page, The Tiger Likes to Take Bubble Baths. I love that title. Can you elaborate what more that book is about?
Oh, thank you so much. I would love to. As I say, I love to write with quirky titles, but they do happen for a reason, for events in my life. So my first traditionally published novel is titled Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? And it is a mystery romance intertwined with the supernatural. And the way that title came about is I visited a wildlife reserve in St. Augustine, Florida. And it's very much an old home for big cats, lions, tigers, panthers, jaguars. And at the end of the tour, I came to this vat 15 feet wide, 5 feet high, overflowing with bubbles. And out comes this 600-pound Siberian tiger, walks across the plank, looks as though he's taking off a rope, and he slips into this vat of bubbles. And he sticks his tongue out. Now, there is a handler standing on the ladder, and she sprays Obsession perfume on his tongue, and he laps it up. And I said, that is the title of my next novel, Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? And it became very much a metaphor. And what I mean by that is because these big cats are tossed aside from possibly TV shows, movies. People at that point even had them as pets, although a law has since been passed that you can't have a tiger as a pet. And because they were tossed aside like an old shoe, in my mystery romance, my protagonist, Angie Pantera, is tossed aside like an old shoe after 25 years of marriage. And now she has to find her way.
I like that. I like that correlation that you were able to do right there. That sounds very interesting. I'm gonna have to pick up the book and read it. It does sound so interesting. Just because the title alone, the way that you were able to see it for yourself and it just captured you. Everyone has those moments where you see it and it's like, oh, it sticks with you for life. So that's amazing how you were able to do that and add the protagonist to everything and it all ties in. I'm very intrigued. And I do see your other book behind you.
Yes.
Do you mind telling me about that one as well? Because I seen that that one actually won the award as well. And so, yeah, I would love to know more.
Yes, the Tigers, I am just so humbled and thrilled because up to this date, it was published several years ago. It has won 8 awards. And my most recent publication, also traditionally published and with a new publishing house, is the first of a trilogy. And again, it is titled The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. Now, toile is very much a item present in our everyday lives. And it is a very vibrant, artistic wall covering. You usually see it, it's two-toned, and you'll see people in it dancing, or you'll see architectural, or it's contemporary. It could be colonialish. It could be whatever you want it to be. And it was in my home, and I said to myself, there's a story there. There's love, there's betrayal, there's adventure and fantasy. So I wrote the first of the trilogy. It is a fantasy adventure, also intertwined with romance. And I have to say the reviews, again, I'm humbled, have been phenomenal. US Review of Books compared it to Doctor Who and A Wrinkle in Time.
Wow.
So I am just so thrilled. It has already won for best cover. So there are many more wonderful things for The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper on the horizon. I know it.
Oh,
and right now I'm working with my editor, editing the second book in the trilogy, and that'll be out at the end of the year. But yes, if you love fantasy and adventure and romance, check out The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. I'm everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I love to push independent bookstores. My book may not be on the shelf. All they do is put my name in, bum, bum, bum. It's there the next day. So,
oh, wow. That is that's amazing. It is interesting the way that you're able to describe it and then how you were able to say that it compares to The Wrinkle in Time and all those other books. It's true. Those are very intriguing books. Those are my type of books. If you are able to catch me just by just the description, then honey, I am diving
well, we work so hard in our daily lives, and reality is too real. deal. And to just pick up a book. And even though if you don't want to hold it, we have ebooks, but to just hold it and to just escape from our everyday lives is wonderful.
It truly is. To be honest, in high school, I hated reading. I used to despise it. I felt like reading and writing was a dead thing, like it was going to be the thing of the past. But once I gave it a shot and I started reading, it blew my mind because it allowed me to escape my reality, just like you were saying. It put me into the story, into the book. I was able to see characters. I think that's the problem, is that when I read books and then they make a movie out of the book and it doesn't match my imagination, it makes me so mad.
I know. I know, that is so true, Mitzi. We find that we are not satisfied many times when those movies come out. But I love like fantasy adventure, and like my latest like favorite, they took it from a Disney ride, The Jungle Book, and they made it into a fantasy adventure movie. I love that. They couldn't ruin that. They could only make that better because it was a ride. It still is a ride.
Yeah, that's true. To be honest, I loved Alice in Wonderland, the animated version. So when they made it to like the humans, I was kind of skeptical because that's my favorite movie. So I was like, ah. But once I seen it, I was like, I love it. It's beautiful. The way that they did it was absolutely amazing. And I really do hope the best for your book. I can only imagine, and I can honestly see that book end up being a movie. I'm gonna see it one day on Netflix and be like, oh, I spoke with Mary.
That would be wonderful, Missy. That would be a dream come true.
Right. I think for all authors, that is a dream to have a book to become something more than just letters on paper. But I do believe that having the book in front of you and smelling the papers and smelling the book is all different than just the ebook. Yeah, the ebook is accessible because you could have so many in the palm of your hand. However, but when you actually have a real book in your hand, it's a different type of focus. I truly believe it's a different type of focus.
And the Tiger's book, it was written for, anybody could read it, obviously, but it was written for an older audience. You loved one mystery, death after another. So it was written for like 35 plus. The Girl in the Tall Wallpaper, it is high schoolers and older because it is a fantasy adventure. And I'm just so thrilled that I have begun, with help, obviously, a new website, the Star Writers Trilogy, which is wonderful for young adults if they want to visit. We're going to have writing contests, and I'll give you sneak peeks into the second book in the trilogy. So I'm just so thrilled about things like that, being an author and sharing with a younger audience. And I'm teaming up with the cat shelter. They're going to be giving away kittens named after characters in The Girl in the 12 Wallpapers. So it's very exciting. We're going to give away free books. Adopt a kitty and you'll get a free book. The Tigers or The Girl in the 12 Wallpaper, either one.
Oh, that is so adorable. I love that. That is amazing. And besides the trilogy, are you working on any other books after the trilogy, or are you just right there for right now?
Yes, right now I am working with the editor on the second book within the trilogy, which is, to edit a book. By the time you actually hold a book, it has gone from the manuscript through so much editing. It's not what was actually submitted. So the third book in the trilogy that I am currently in the process of completing, and I am halfway through. And then after that, I have so many ideas that I just want to conquer. That it's, as I said, this was a hobby for me that I was able to turn into a career. Doesn't mean like if you're looking for a hobby that it has to become a career, but if you are so truly passionate about something and it is part of your soul, then never give up on yourself. That's why I tell everybody, people will tell you you're not good or you're this. You go like this, la, 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 la. If it's in your heart, in your soul, it's your passion, stick with it. And I can promise you, it happened for me, not overnight, but it'll happen for you too.
I like how you're saying it didn't happen overnight. And I do appreciate that, because I'm working on a novel and I finished writing the whole entire book in 2019. But after giving it some space and then looking back at it, I realized I need to add some more chapters. I need to add more of this and add more of that. So I realize I do understand what you're saying. It does take time time before you even get to the point where you're submitting your manuscript. And then once you submit it, you're going to have to go through the stages of editing and revising and adding and deducting and the fine lining of it all before you get the final product. So I honestly do appreciate you being honest with people so that people realize that there's hard work going into this. It's not like it just happens when somebody puts that reward on their website or the reward on their book. This took time and energy. And I think one of the biggest things I would love for you to give is some advice of those people who are struggling with needing that fast validation in this process if they're going through the writing route.
Right. And one of those validations is, as I said, if this is part of your heart and soul and your passion, I had to learn how to build a thick skin because I dealt with one rejection after another. And sometimes they would say, why? Well, you could write, but it's not what we're looking for. But I always loved the fact that the creative part of it, and that's what always brought me back. But as I said, an editing process, if you're a writer, you're looking to submit a book, if you can't even get some help in editing it to a certain point where it is professional, that will be a big help for you. And if you're accepted by a publishing house, but I have to tell you, nowadays, Mitzi, times have changed. When I was, like I said, over 10 years for me, back then, to self-publish was a taboo. And the difference in self-publishing is you pay for all the costs of editing, having a cover, where you're working with the publisher, they take those costs upon themselves. And so what is still available to us nowadays is wonderful. You do have where you can self-publish. It's not as expensive as it was years ago. And there's also publishing houses that will have co-publishing. So don't give up. Keep submitting, keep checking, and trying to get your work out there because they're always looking for new ideas. And the other thing is, if you're following the latest trend, what tends to happen is it will pass us by the time we finish writing our story, trying to follow this trend. So try to write about something you know so much about and you're an expert in. It's a big help.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I know that my audience, someone out there is going to be listening and really take that into consideration, because I think when you hear this type of advice from other people who have literally walked through it, then it puts it in a different perspective versus reading all the articles about how to do, because you can read all the articles on how to be an author and how to start a book and where to begin and where to go for advice. And I think the end result is finding somebody that is honest and true like yourself that can really just speak words of wisdom, because I do feel that your words are part of the wisdom and the struggle that you had to go through to get to this point, because I truly believe rejection after rejection is hard to go through. Am I right?
Yes, thank you. You hit the nail right on the head. And you think once you're accepted by a publishing house that, oh, I'm going to fly through this. Well, at that point, when you meet with the editor, put your ego aside, because they take everything you have and they massage it. They know what they're doing, but they will say, nope, we're pulling this. And I'm like, oh, but no, they know what they're doing. So it is always, so like I said, if it's your love, stick with it and it'll happen for you as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. You have given so much advice. I don't even know if there's any more advice that you can give. Usually I end it off with what advice you can give, but you gave us so much great advice. Is there anything else that maybe you just want us to know?
Yes, please visit my author website, www.Mary, middle initial K, Savarese. So that's MARYKSAVARESE.com. And there you have everything about me. I love to connect with readers and the audience, and I have trailers there. I link you to wherever, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores. And also, if you sign up, you have a chance to win a free book at the end of each month. So, and that would be the hardcover, which is so artistic. It is absolutely unbelievable. But this is what Toile is. it tells a story. So I love to bring a reader through a story and a journey that just makes you smile.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mary, for that. And you guys heard it first at Mitzi Thinking. We are hoping that at least one person in the audience can really take this into consideration, reflect on the empty space that they have in their life, really reflect on it and see how you can fill it. And maybe writing is your path. Like I spoke with some other people, everybody has a story inside of them, but barely 1% of them actually do something about it. And maybe you're bored because you need to express everything that you're holding inside, so go down the route, check out Mary's picture on Mitzi Thinking. You'll find her beautiful photo there with her link to her website, so you can have access to all of the great things that she has on there. So just stay tuned and keep on watching out for more. Bye.